Oh, he's unique.
What is Finding Hitler all about? This is a show that you're on, and it's on A&E. Is that what it's on?
Yeah, A&E is the parent network. It airs on History Channel, and we just had our third season that just finished airing.
What's the thought process behind this? Is it legit? Because a lot of people are like, Finding Hitler, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
They found Hitler, he died.
Yeah, I mean,
not really.
We don't know.
Right.
That's. I mean, this isn't like Ancient Aliens. This is They declassified a bunch of documents. Both the Israelis, the British, and the Germans and Americans in the past 20 years have been consistently declassifying documents. And there were a bunch of specifically FBI documents that we were spending millions and millions of dollars actively searching for Hitler after the war.
Really?
Yeah, like millions of dollars. Like Hoover was like, no, send more FBI agents to South America, to North Africa, go to the Canary Islands, go to Spain, trying to find out where this guy went. Tons of real FBI documents with real leads, with real informants, some first eye accounts saying that they physically. So anyways, that's the show, is us trying to find out, sift through reality and the fiction of the allure, the mystery of that asshole.
So what's the official story? The official story is that he killed himself, right?
Yep.
He killed himself in the bunker with Ava Braun.
Yep.
And is there any photographic evidence of his death or anything?
Yeah. So the Russians got the body and they got his skull. And when they brought it back to Moscow, nobody has ever been able to independently verify who and what this body is. They let one genetic test occur, and the body with the bullet holes that they said was Hitler, and have said, and that's the narrative, that's the story, that's all the eyewitness accounts that are even in the vicinity of collaborating with each other and corroborating each other's testimony. Like the closest version, because none of it seems to be very accurate, is that, okay, here's Hitler's skull, and when they did the genetic testing, it's that of a 35-year-old woman. So they're like, oh, well, this isn't Hitler, but they've said for the past 80 years that this is Hitler. So, okay, first, before we start throwing stones at Russia, let's go back to 1945, April, in Berlin. You have the Allies coming in, wrecking shop, dropping bombs, blowing everything up they can in every single which way. You have the Russians coming in from the opposite direction. They don't even have enough guns to arm all their soldiers. So if they have 200 guys, or 200,000 guys, they have 100,000 guns. If the guy in front of you dies, you just pick up his gun. That's what's happening in April of 1945 in Berlin. So the noose is tightening. There is it is chaos, anarchy, pandemonium. This is hell on earth, is Berlin, 1945. So I don't know if you could get a real story, the way that we do it now, where we have, this forensic experts that come in and document everything, and we look at all the different testimonies, say this is exactly how. It's not CSI. This is 1945 Berlin. It's crazy. So I don't know.
So there was no absolute proof.
No.
And a lot of Nazis did escape and go to South America.
The majority of anyone with power. The Nuremberg trials were not a witch hunt, but it was to close a chapter so we could start moving forward with communism. That's what it was. The threat of fascism, the threat of Hitler, the threat of killing all the Jews, the threat of world domination by the Nazis, that threat's gone. What's the next threat?
Communism.
It's communism.
Right.
So that had to be a closed chapter of our history so we could focus our resources and our efforts to what inevitably was going to, the wall goes up. We have East and West Berlin. We're already looking at Korea. This happens almost overnight.
Right, very quickly.
When Patton's like, no, homies, we need to go all the way to Moscow. This is not the end of our war. And we didn't listen to him. We then have been, fighting communism for the past 75 years.
So the ones with power that went to South America, I know a bunch of them went to Argentina, but they think they went to Honduras and a few other places. Mm-hmm. Where do they think they wound up?
So what you had in South America, both Chile and Argentina back to back had fascist regimes. You had Perón, who was part of the Nazi party starting all the way back into the mid-30s. He's the president of Argentina. So the Red Cross, they were there was about 3 different rat lines that guys were able to successfully get out of Europe into South America. And there's no question that we're talking thousands, if not tens of thousands of high-ranking Nazis made it there.
Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands. And I'm not talking like little soldiers. I'm talking high-ranking Nazis, officers, guys like Joseph Mengele and Adolf Eichmann. I mean, these are the most disgusting, despicable humans to exist at the time. If Hitler is dead, Joseph Mengele is the guy that would take syringes full of blue ink and inject them. You have blue eyes, Joe, or you have brown eyes. Let me see if I can make them blue.
Oh, wow.
And then take twins and start torturing them to see if one would feel the pain. That's Joseph Mengele. I mean, that's the guy that then in South America was helping high-ranking Argentinians have abortions, and he set up, have you seen the movie Colonia?
No.
About Colonia Dignidad, which is, if you're listening right now, I almost warn you not to Google it, because it was a torture camp that was started by Joseph Schaefer, a Nazi, and Joseph Mengele, the doctor of death that escaped trial in Nuremberg and made it at the behest of Perón into Argentina. He set up the hospital at Colonia Dignidad, which was another safe haven for more Nazis in South America. Golda Meir and Ben Gurion, the presidents of Israel, they took the gloves off and they were just sending assassins to try to find these people and kill them. But what you got in South America were isolated German-only communities. You could go into Bariloche, Argentina, and I'd be like, "Buenos dias, amigos," and they're like, "Guten Morgen." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I meant good morning. Yeah, sorry, it's 2017, right? I thought we spoke Spanish here."
So, in 2017, you were there, and they were speaking German.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, I don't look very. I might look more European than I do. So it's just them seeing me walking down the street and be like,
"Wow."
Yeah. And there's tons of communities. I mean, if you go to Colonia Dignidad, which is now called Villa Bavaria, the Bavarian village, it is only German.
Whoa.
In the center of Chile, in the mountains of Chile. Like there's no Spanish being spoken there. It is exclusively German.
And these are the descendants of Nazis.
Powerful Nazis.
Holy shit. And this is going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what are these communities like? I mean, what's their ideology? Are they...
I mean, they're pretty white.
Yeah, but are they like... I mean, do they espouse Nazi values or...
Not openly. So Colonia Dignidad, if you look at the second generation, there's a bunch of... So it was a huge problem for Chile that they tried to hide for years. And they got so much power from the torturing that they did at Colonia Dignidad on a whole bunch of other high-ranking South American dictators that they are almost untouchable. And this is, I mean, you'd blow your mind if you look into this, Joe. You'd love it. But the second generation, the kids, like the grandkids, sometimes they're even more fanatical than the original generation. Have you ever seen this? Where like if somebody's away from, like when you travel abroad, man, it's so cool to get into the culture and get into the food and get into the, like you're dancing this style and you love the flag and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to a soccer game because we don't go to soccer games in America, and then I'm gonna go. But then maybe after like 2 months, you kind of miss home, and then like a year, like you really miss home. And then 10 years, like you really, really miss home. And you see the same thing in the United States where it's not really a perfect assimilation. It's not the melting pot where you see generations that are espousing to be more like their ethnic heritage than they are American. They're flying the Irish flag and like, I'm Irish. Well, it's just times 1,000 with these communities because they're exclusively German.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Kind of weird.
So exclusively German and really missing home.
Yeah. Yeah. So
70 years later.
The second generations I was talking about, some of them came to the United States and were high-ranking white supremacists that are now in jail and prison for their racial crimes.
And they came out of South America.
They came out of Colonia Dignidad. They came out of Bariloche. They came out of
Holy shit.
Cordoba. They came out of Misiones. They came out of, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy. So that's the show, Hunting Hitler.
Fucking A, man.
It's a trip.
How many people are we talking about all told in South America that come out of this? I mean, tens of thousands went there, but how many German communities and how big are they?
Yeah, we maybe have 50 German communities.
50? How many people, if you had to guess?
A few 100,000.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
A few 100,000
Yeah.
descendants of Nazis.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And man, it's weird when you walk into somebody's parlor and it's like you're stepping back in time into Europe. Like I'm walking in, it's 2017 and I'm walking in Buenos Aires, Argentina into somebody's parlor and all of the tile is European and all the style and all the art is very German. You know, we have like deers and you know, not like red stags. We're talking German everything, things that Hitler loved. And that's the style and that's everything. And then they come out and like with white gloves, they're holding their grandfather's memory box. And inside of it are his war medals from, you know, when he was in the SS or when he was, and it is the respect, I don't even know the
reverence.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's like it's like this is a gift from the Pope that they're holding in their hands. White gloves. No, I can't. First of all, Tim can't touch it. But I can appreciate it. And then they tell me the story of every single one of these things and how he got there, and how he then went and worked for the Buenos Aires News.
You can't touch anything.
No, they wouldn't. No, because I'm.
You're dirty.
I'm dirty.
Dirty American.
Look at this.
You're too brown.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
So we followed the first 2 seasons. It was really just unraveling the rumors of what happened to Hitler. The 3rd season was my favorite because I actually got to do real work. They said, okay, I got to the 2nd season. I got to bring in more special forces guys, a CIA targeter, Nadia, who helped my unit kill Zarqawi in 2006. This is the team that is now looking at real evidence, trying to figure out, okay, how did we find bin Laden? How did we find Zarqawi? We looked at their associates and we looked at how they moved. We looked at how they communicated. We looked at what routes they were using to get to and from places. And then we just started tightening the noose. And that's exactly what we did in this 3rd season was, okay, let's start following the Adolf Eichmanns. Let's start following the Joseph Mengeles. And let's start following the Skorzynskis. Hitler's personal bodyguard that was a colonel in the SS that went on to work for everybody after the war fighting. I mean, fascists do not like communists. So this guy was working for everybody to include the CIA fighting fascism in South America or fighting communism as a fascist in South America in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Whoa.
Creepy stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah. So Hunting Hitler.
Are there any legitimate eyewitness accounts of Hitler in South America? Or potentially legitimate?
Absolutely, potentially.
Whoa.
Yep. Eyewitness accounts. I saw him get off a boat. I saw him meet here. And if it was just some person saying it, it's almost meaningless.
Right.
But if you look at the context of who this person is, the wealth that they have that they shouldn't have, like, can you explain how you got so rich in 2 generations? You know, like, okay, your grandpa got here from Germany in 1946. That's weird. And he's on a legitimate visa with an Argentinian passport. Also weird. And now he's a war refugee that's now worth millions of dollars. How does this work? But people, and then this is the hard part, people want to be connected to significant events. And especially in small rural areas of the world, developing areas, like there's so little happening. They want to be attached to something massive. And like the fact that they saw a U-boat land on this beach and the hatch opened and, you know, these cars were sitting there and they were doing Morse code and this guy gets off and he had this little mustache. You're like, Well, but U-boats can't beach. That's not how that works.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and but you know what they're trying to do. They just want to be connected.
Yeah.
So, and now we're removed 70 to 80 years from the facts. It has been painful to try to use real science, real investigative tools to try to sift through this lore, you know?
What do you think happened? I mean, you've been studying this for how long now?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
If you had a guess, if you had like $1 million, you got to put it on one side or another. Did he go there?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I
Jesus Christ.
I would say, man, it's and that's the first time I've ever said it flat out like that. What I want to say is the way history is written is wrong. That's clear. There's no way that we can say he died on this day. This is what happened. Here is his body, and
So
that's what
the physical proof is for sure. The woman that head that they were saying was Hitler is definitely not Hitler.
It was absolutely not.
fact.
That's a fact.
So they don't have Hitler's body.
So then our other option was, okay, is it Ava Brahms? Did they just grab the wrong body, right? So there are still descendants of Ava, and we tried to have them allow us to do it. Then we tried to go through like, what is it?
And they can get DNA off of the skull?
Yeah.
There's meat on it?
No, it's like a tooth. Yeah.
Okay.
And but they wouldn't consent to it. So then we tried to do, you know, like where people have like the tree, their ethnic tree.
Yeah.
What is those websites called?
23andMe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a bunch of them.
Right.
We tried to go that route, but
They wouldn't consent to it.
no.
The Ava Braun's family.
No. They just want it gone.
They just don't want to.
Yeah. They were
Yeah.
super pissed that we even found them,
I'm sure.
which was hard, which was really hard.
Just hold them down, get them to spit in a bucket.
Yeah. I know, like,
I mean,
or pull
we
their
need to
trash
know.
and pull
Yeah.
stuff out of there.
We
No, I
need
would
to
totally
know.
not do that.
Definitely not do that.
But
I mean, that's how they caught the Golden State Killer, right? It was off of a cigarette butt.
yeah.
They got DNA off a cigarette butt.
So history's wrong
Wow.
for it to be black and white like that. And
Fuck, man.
and again, if you go back to 1945, we needed scientists. We needed every single German electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, aerospace, anything.
Yeah.
You're on the V2 program. You know, we want all of you because now it's a race. It's a race. We have the bomb. Now we need delivery systems. Now we need to get to the moon. Now we need to, like all of those things are real time. It's a war of dollars and a war of science. And we got all those scientists.
Yeah.
The Russians didn't.
Well, they got some.
So, not very many.
Operation Paperclip was what brought over what Werner von Braun, who was, when you talk to Jews that were in Berlin during the time that Werner von Braun was running his rocket program there, he would hang the 5 slowest Jews in front of the rocket factory in Berlin just to give everybody motivation to work harder.
Yeah.
The Simon Wiesenthal Center said that if Werner von Braun was alive today, they would prosecute him for crimes against humanity.
Yeah.
He was a Nazi, straight up Nazi. And there's apologists that say, no, he was a scientist. He was forced into doing that. Like, that's like, okay. He's a Nazi.
Yeah.
There's photographs of him wearing Nazi garb, hanging out with Nazis. His rocket factory killed Jews. Like, these are all undeniable facts.
It's like the war ends and they're not Nazis anymore.
Exactly.
That's not how that works.
Exactly. But they were forgiven because they came over and contributed to our rocket program.
I'm not that good of a human. I don't have that in me. I don't have that like, okay,
It's slippery,
you're forgiven.
man.